A few days ago, I made a video on why Ethan Winters is Resident Evil's most relatable hero. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on that, the video link is in the description. But despite my admiration for the man, there was something that always bothered me, and that was Mia never being held accountable for her involvement in the development of Evelyn, a dangerous and uncontrollable bioweapon in the form of a small child. And though she had her fair share of turmoil, it's clear that her actions led to many catastrophic casualties. And like an itch that you can't reach, it's impossible to ignore. So grab a snack, kick back, and relax as we discuss why Mia Winters is Resident Evil's perfect villain.
Sleep, my love, as the trees above protect you from the dark. A great river will watch you as you dream until dawn. Sleep, my love, close your eyes, and when you awaken, the new day will bring to you a bright.
The Resident Evil series have always had their villains take center stage through their eccentric egotism and over-the-top obsession for world domination. Some of them more quirky and less intimidating than others.
I so want to enjoy this.
Yet you felt the malicious mindset emanating from them whenever they were on screen. And with good reason too, because they never made any effort to hide it. You could be having a normal lunch with them and somehow, some way, they slip in world domination and how they're going to take out half of humanity to become the new world leader, while you're sitting there trying to sneak in 911. It's not often we have villains who don't shout their lofty goals from the rooftops, and that's what makes Mia different from the rest of them. A cold and calculating individual who does her job, not worrying about how it will affect others, as long as she gets paid. And I would have much respect for her if she wasn't working for the Connections, a mysterious crime syndicate that specializes in murder, money laundering, drug trafficking, and arms dealing, and with the creation of Evelyn, bioterrorism. Not something you're quick to share with people, which is exactly why Mia kept it a secret from her husband for all those years, because she knows it's wrong to work for such an evil organization. And deep down, she didn't care who was killed, what communities suffer from drugs and addiction, what wars they were causing with their arms dealing, and what countries they could destroy through bioterrorism, as long as she got that fat check at the end of the week. Mia wasn't a desk receptionist answering phone calls all day, but a researcher and covert operative. And judging by her combat skills, I would say she was very proficient in carrying out certain missions for the Connections out in the field. So much so that the company entrusted their most prized possession to her. If everything had gone according to plan, I'm sure there'd be a big promotion coming up at the end of the week. But I digress. But speaking of Evelyn, there's something demented about making her a child, for both the victims and Evelyn herself. The Connections made their bioweapon as a small child to make it easier to blend in. A very crafty and strategic choice, because who's going to feel threatened by her? But giving her the mindset of a child was their biggest mistake. It doesn't take a parent of 5 to understand how hard it is to raise a kid, someone who requires love and attention to help them grow up properly. Of course, a cold-blooded crime syndicate would never understand that, given how they treated her like a guinea pig from the day she was created. Nothing more than a prized possession put on a pedestal for the sake of profit. So being treated like that for so long, it's understandable why she wanted the gentle warmth of a real family. And considering how much of a loving mother she would be for Rose, you would have thought Mia's maternal instincts would have kicked in, feeling a bit of sympathy for the little girl. And though she would be wary of her deadly powers, imagine how much differently everything could have turned out if Mia formed a relationship with Evelyn and treated her like the child she wanted to be, instead of an Amazon delivery package. But no, Mia viewed that kid with the same emotionless gaze as everyone else around her. And that, ladies and gentlemen, led to the deaths of the Annabelle cargo crew, the Sewer Gators documentary group, and most tragically, the Bakers. I'm not saying what Evelyn did was justified, but in a twisted way, it's understandable. At the end of the day, she acted like a monster because she was made to be one, much like Lisa Trevor, a victim who was kidnapped and experimented on by the Umbrella Corporation. Given supernatural powers at the cost of their humanity and forever labeled as a monstrosity isn't something neither one of them asked for, but their lives were nothing more than a cruel joke for the sake of their captors' entertainment. The terrible ordeal these two went through goes to show you that history repeats itself, constantly reminding us that the true monsters are hard to find because they look like everyone else, blending in with malicious intentions.
The biggest monsters of Resident Evil aren't the zombies or bioweapons, it's man.
Of course, there are other morally great characters like Annette Birkin and Louise Serra, both former researchers for Umbrella. Like Mia, Annette conducted her shady, dangerous work with no concern for anyone else, eventually developing the G virus along with her husband, William Birkin, which led to the Raccoon City incident. And during her employment, Annette never felt any remorse for the damage she may be causing, but only felt true regret when her husband mutated and her daughter Sherry was on death's door because of the very virus she helped create. And just as you can do the right thing for the wrong intentions, you can feel regret for the wrong reasons. And because she didn't care about the lives of others, their husbands, their children, it was difficult to feel sorry for her when she died. I would feel the same about Louise Serra, given his contribution to both Umbrella and Los Illuminados, leading to countless lives being lost. But what sets him apart, in my eyes at least, is that he had a genuine change of heart when he got infected with Las Plagas. Of course, we're not shown his morality prior to the events of RE4, but from his infection, it seemed he understood just how detrimental the damage he was doing. So heavy was the guilt that he put his life on the line to cure Leon, Ashley, and Ada when they were infected with the overpowering parasite, a choice that costed him dearly.
You know, I led a pretty shitty life. But now, eh? What do you think, Leon? People can change, right?
With that being said, you could argue that wanting to make amends only after committing all these atrocities is inherently selfish, because he did it just to make himself feel better. And you're completely right, it would have been better had he never helped Osmond Saddler in the first place. But if Louise didn't help, someone else would, and that's the sad reality of it. Better to be born as a villain and die a hero, than be born as a hero and die a villain. At least to me, that's what makes Louise somewhat redeemable. He wasn't trying to make amends on his deathbed like Annette, or try to play the hero just to save his own skin like Mia. And I deeply understand that Mia had her fair share of suffering, but at no point did she show any regret or remorse for her involvement in the whole situation, which brings me to this other issue. As much as we advocate for truth and honesty, none of us are ever completely honest, whether it's with ourselves or those around us. And with that, secrets are often buried deep in the darkest corners of our memories. Unfortunately, some secrets are far more dangerous to those we hide them from. So no matter how much Mia loved her husband Ethan, it never made sense to me why she would still keep so many secrets from him, even after the events of RE7. Even when Ethan pushed Mia to open up and talk about what happened back in Louisiana, she was dismissive.
You really have to stop worrying.
It's just finding you in Louisiana, the pregnancy, Chris moving us here, military training, it all happened so fast, you know?
Well, at least we're all together. You, me, Rose. Now, everything's gonna
Seriously, think we can just forget about what happened in Louisiana?
It happened so long ago.
Refusing to give her husband some form of closure. And though the Mia in the beginning of RE8 was an imposter, Ethan never questioned her strange refusal to talk about it. So that tells me it's not the first time they've had this argument. Even during one of the game's flashbacks, Mia struggles to be honest with Ethan. She struggled because deep down, it would force her to take accountability for everything she's done, and exposing the darker side of her inner demons, possibly shattering their view of her normal life, as they have to come to terms with her past. And because of that, I can't help but think that Mia's actions and secrets is what led Ethan to his eventual death. Telling him of her past, along with his and Rose's special condition, may have not changed anything in the grand scheme of things, but it would have at least gave him some form of closure, as well as preparing him and Chris for any potential threats, like Mother Miranda. But no, so sacred were her secrets that it sacrificed the man who saved her all those years ago. And only then did she understand the full weight of her actions. The world is without a hero, as her daughter grows up without a father. Now, despite what I've said so far, I don't actually hate Mia. In fact, I like her as a character, which is why I wanted to make this video in the first place. You see, she's not a complex character, but her actions do make you question her way of thinking. And just as Ethan represents the self-sacrifice of protecting those we love, Mia reflects the darker side of us that we keep hidden away, always afraid of being judged for having a past that none of us will be proud of. And as long as we don't acknowledge it, it doesn't exist. But no matter how much we try to bury it beneath all the lies, secrets, and regrets, our past always fights its way to the surface, like weeds growing through concrete. It's inevitable. And that's why Mia Winters is Resident Evil's perfect villain, because to a lot of us, she embodies that fear of taking accountability and forcing us to accept our past, representing that dark reflection we hate to see every morning. But with enough time and patience, one day we'll be able to look ourselves in the eyes and forgive that person in the mirror for what they've done, and hoping those around them will do the same.
What do you think, Leon? People can change, right?
If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. With that being said, share with us your opinion on Mia Winters. Is she a villain, an anti-hero, or perhaps a victim of circumstance? I really want to know your thoughts on the matter. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.